On the morning of October 19th, 2017, the peace of Napa Valley was shattered. At 7:46 a.m., a vineyard worker discovered the body of 54-year-old winemaker Victor Renaud, sprawled face down between two rows of his private Merlot vines. His white linen shirt was stained red, not with wine, but with blood. He had been shot once in the chest and twice in the back. The Renaud estate was one of the oldest family-run wineries in California. Known for its exclusivity, it was nestled behind electronic gates, with only 2 permitted access roads and 16 CCTV cameras spread across the property. And yet, someone had slipped in and killed Victor without triggering a single alarm. The news of Victor's death rippled through the region. He wasn't just a respected vintner. He was a polarizing figure, a perfectionist, a businessman with enemies, and, as investigators would learn, a man with secrets. Victor had returned from a trip to France just 3 days earlier. According to his assistant, he had argued with his younger brother Marc Renaud, co-owner of the Vineyard, over future business plans. Marc wanted to sell part of the land to a luxury developer. Victor refused. The previous night, Victor had hosted a private dinner at the estate for 5 guests. Marc Renaud, his brother, Eloise Renaud, his wife, Sophia Costa, the Vineyard's financial advisor, Chef Julien Morel, a longtime family friend, and Claire Durant, a local wine critic. By morning, Victor was dead. There were no signs of forced entry, no missing valuables, and no weapons found near the body. The surveillance system had inexplicably gone offline from 11:52 p.m. to 4:13 a.m. Investigators narrowed their focus to the 5 dinner guests, all of whom had both opportunity and motive. Marc had a financial reason. Eloise was rumored to be having an affair. Sophia had just been confronted about missing winery funds. Julien owed Victor a large personal loan. Claire had recently been humiliated by a public review Victor gave of her publication. Each guest claimed to have gone to their rooms by midnight. Each denied hearing anything. But crime scene analysts determined Victor had likely been killed between 2 a.m. and 2:30 a.m. Then came the first forensic lead. A muddy boot print, men's size 10, found near the vines. Victor wore size 11. Marc wore 10s. Detectives brought Marc in for questioning. He admitted to the argument, but denied any involvement. He said he'd been in bed by 12:15 a.m., reading. His room, however, was one of 2 that didn't lock from the outside, meaning he could have slipped out undetected. Meanwhile, the boot print was compared to Marc's footwear. No exact match. The tread pattern didn't align. Investigators then examined the server room that controlled the estate's surveillance system. There were clear signs of tampering. Someone had manually disabled the hardline connection using a pair of wire cutters. The cuts were clean and deliberate. Only 2 people had the key to the secured room: Victor and Sophia Costa. When pressed, Sophia admitted she'd been in the server room earlier that week to reset the backup system, but she denied knowing anything about the outage on the night of the murder. Detectives searched her apartment and found nothing incriminating until they checked her laptop. On it was a spreadsheet titled Q3 Fund Discrepancy. It showed more than $180,000 in unauthorized withdrawals linked to her name. According to metadata, the document had been created the same day Victor died. Had he discovered it that night? Had he confronted her? Sophia was brought back in for questioning. Her demeanor shifted. She admitted the funds were moved, but claimed it was temporary, a short-term loan she intended to repay. She insisted Victor never knew, but Eloise told a different story. In a sworn statement, she said Victor confronted Sophia during the dinner, behind closed doors. Voices were raised. Sophia had stormed out briefly before returning to dessert. Victor had looked furious but cold. Then came the second clue. Gunshot residue found on a silk scarf recovered from the laundry room hamper. The scarf belonged to Eloise. Eloise claimed she hadn't worn the scarf in weeks, that it had been sitting in the laundry for days. But analysis showed the residue was fresh, deposited no more than 24 hours prior. Confronted with the evidence, Eloise broke down. In tears, she admitted she had been having an affair, not with another guest, but with Julian Morel, the family chef. The affair had begun during Victor's extended business trips. She said Victor found out a month earlier and had threatened to divorce her and cut her off from the family fortune. "I didn't kill him," she told detectives, "but I know who might have." When asked to explain, she said that the night before the murder, Julian came to her room just after 2 a.m. He was shaken, pale. He told her to say nothing and that everything would be taken care of. Detectives turned their attention to Julian. Julian Morel was calm when he was brought in. Too calm. He expressed shock, sorrow, even outrage that anyone would accuse him. But his answers were clipped, controlled. He admitted to the affair with Eloise, claimed Victor had known and tolerated it quietly, though others painted a different picture. Then detectives showed him a photograph, the scarf, gunshot residue, Eloise's testimony. Still, Julian didn't waver. "I didn't touch Victor," he said. "I went to bed around 1, that's all." But surveillance data told another story. Though the cameras had been disabled, backup logs showed access to the main kitchen door at 2:11 a.m., Julian's keycard. Then came the breakthrough. Inside Julian's chef locker, locked and unopened until that day, police found a pair of boots, caked in dried mud, size 10. The soles matched the partial print found near Victor's body. Still, the case lacked a weapon, and no DNA directly linked Julian to the crime scene until forensics examined the boots more closely. Tucked into the left boot's lining was a folded latex glove. Inside that glove, gunshot residue and a single strand of graying hair. The DNA matched Victor. When confronted with the new evidence, Julian finally cracked. He confessed, but claimed it wasn't premeditated. He said Victor had humiliated him for years. That night, after everyone went to sleep, he met with Victor in the Vineyard to talk. They argued. Victor threatened to fire him, expose his debts, ruin his culinary career. Julian snapped. He said the gun belonged to Victor, kept in a locked drawer in his office. He took it, followed him, fired 3 times. He buried the weapon. Then he cut the security system manually and returned to his room before sunrise. It was enough. Julian Morel was arrested and charged with first-degree murder. At the trial, Eloise testified. So did Mark, Sophia, and Claire. Each admitted their own tensions with Victor. But it was Julian's own confession, combined with forensic evidence, that secured the conviction. He was sentenced to life without parole. Victor Renaud was laid to rest beneath the hill overlooking the vines he built his legacy on. The estate passed to Mark, who turned down the developer's offer. Instead, he reopened the vineyard under a new name, Clos du Silence. Each year on October 19th, they raise a glass in silence, in memory and in mourning.